I've roamed and rambled, and I've followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining, and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling, as the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting, this land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island,
over the
from
Delaware
the redwood
River.
forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. Not pennies!
All right. Welcome everybody to this important day where we have gathered together to send a message to the PennEast Pipeline companies and to all our government officials that we will do what we have to stop the PennEast Pipeline project. We don't want pennies. We don't want the indelible scar across our communities that the PennEast Pipeline would bring. We don't want to force our friends, our neighbors, our communities to live next to the hazards of a pipeline, including the daily fear and possibility of accidents and explosions. We don't want a pipeline that will take our front yards, our backyards, our public parks, our open spaces, and our peace of mind. We don't want a pipeline that's going to add to climate instability with its greenhouse gas emissions. We don't want a pipeline that's going to take our water, take our air, take our forests, take our wetlands, that's going to harm farming, ecotourism, recreation, and art, that's going to harm businesses of all kinds, communities of all kinds. That's what the PennEast Pipeline promises, and we don't want pennies because we don't want the damage it will bring to our environment and our community. We don't want the fracked gas that the PennEast Pipeline would carry. We don't want the pollution and the human suffering that drilling and fracking to get gas from shale brings to innocent families and ecosystems. More than that, we don't need the PennEast Pipeline. First off, despite what the PennEast Pipeline companies say, we know what the facts tell us, that the gas that the PennEast Pipeline would be carrying is intended to go overseas to other communities, not to come to our communities. But even if you were to buy the PennEast Spinmeister storyline, the fact of the matter is that Pennsylvania has a surplus of gas, and if the PennEast Pipeline were built, New Jersey would also have a massive surplus of gas. We simply don't need the gas. Let's tell the truth. The truth is that by building the PennEast Pipeline, we would be inflicting irreparable harm for a pipeline and a gas source that are soon to be obsolete. The experts are very clear. The fracked gas that PennEast would carry is going to be in swift decline in just a few short decades. More importantly, clean and renewable energy options are here today, and that is what we want serving our community. We want to make our nation the clean energy leader. We don't want to be part of a country that perpetuated one of the dirtiest and most damaging energy supplies in history. Despite the lying rhetoric of the PennEast Spinmeisters, we know that they have one goal, and they have one goal only, and that goal is profits. Profits for their executives and their shareholders that will be made at our few people who have said no, your opportunity exists today. Go right over there and sign the pledge to stop PennEast. Take that little postcard we gave to you, take it home, go online, and sign the pledge to stop PennEast tonight. Whenever you do it, wherever you do it, please join the hundreds who have already signed the pledge to say that we will stand in solidarity to protect our communities, to protect our river, to protect our environment from the PennEast Pipeline project. It all comes down, in my mind, to three things. We don't want PennEast, we don't need PennEast, and we will do whatever we have to stop the PennEast Pipeline! Stop PennEast! 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 And so we are honored, thinking about that, on that great note of Stop PennEast, we are honored to have with us today one of the smartest, most effective, and most influential advocates we have to stop drilling and fracking and our pipelines. She is one of the earliest leaders in our battle against the PennEast Pipeline project, and she is a key reason why we are accomplishing so much in our opposition to this project. Please help me welcome Karen Feridun, founder of Berks Gas
Well, that was something. Don't listen to mine. No, seriously. How many of you want this pipeline cutting through your communities? So here's the thing, and I know a lot of you know this about me. I'm really hard of hearing, and I didn't hear that. So you're going to have to do that again. How many of you want this pipeline cutting through your communities? Okay, that's more like it. Now I want one more time. Wave your signs in the air, because I'm going to get a picture of this. How many people want a pipeline cutting through your community? There you go. Thank you. So I better start talking and getting down to business, because Maya's going to give me the hook otherwise. So I did have something I want to talk to you about today, because I was thinking, I've talked to you, many of you, so many times, too many times, I'm sure some of you think, and so I thought, what can I say today that's different? And so I thought about an anniversary coming up this week, and I thought I'll tell you about that. And so this Thursday is the anniversary of 1 year ago when I drove to Easton to meet with a group of people who were organizing against the PennEast Pipeline from Holland Township. Yeah! They didn't worry about me, I heard about them. We decided to get together and compare notes. And so what a year this has been. I decided what I could do today is run through a few of the highlights and the lowlights. And so the highlights, the way you hit the ground running. It's a sight to behold to see you guys out there with the petitions and the yard signs and having forums and talking to people and websites, Facebook groups, Facebook pages. It's amazing the way this group took off. That's huge. Second, the solidarity in all of those community resolutions up and down the pipeline route to accomplish what you have done is amazing. That by itself is astonishing, honestly. There's more. The way you have interacted with Berks on the docket, at those scoping meetings. You're brilliant, you're smart, you're detailed. You make intelligent, poignant comments, you bring in experts, and you monitor that thing like I have never seen anybody monitor a docket before. They say one word and you are on them. That's beautiful. You have each other's backs. I don't even know how to say more about that. The way you have had each other's backs makes me want to cry, honestly. But you also monitor what's happening on the ground. And you get out there with your cameras and you take pictures and you talk to people. You call the authorities and you get them involved saying this is not right and we're going to hold this company and our government when necessary accountable. That is huge. And believe me, that's the short list. I could go on, but I want to tell you some of the lowlights. The lowlights include the open houses. Remember them? The open houses. If you could park, then you couldn't hear. But if you could hear, it didn't matter because the person you were listening to was a temp who didn't know what they were talking about. The scoping meeting. Bad timing, terrible locations, too small, overflowing crowds, union guys blocking the doorway, inaudible FERC people at the desk cutting you off. It was crazy. That just shows how little they care about you and why it's so important that you fight and speak up every chance you get. Another lowlight, the energy report and the economics report. I just love those. They're so much fun to go after Drexel University with, eConsult, Concentric, it's just fun. But the other thing is that they have been so disingenuous with you. They just tell you whatever they want to tell you, and when they get tired of doing that, they start to show their true colors and they start strong-arming you and bullying you. And so that is a real low light in my book. And then finally, one of my favorites are the op-eds that have been turning up recently. Peter Terranova. And my favorite, Gilbert Ross, a denier for hire. That's what they have stooped to. And unbelievable. You are a beacon that shines out of the morass that is PennEast. And so thank you for that. And I guarantee you that the people in my state, across the river, the state that so many of us come from, in the shale fields appreciate it too. Because their communities are being destroyed. Like my friend Linda's community. So let me tell you very quickly about Linda. Linda likes to go out in the meadow and pick berries with her 6-year-old. But they wait to go out because they have to wait for the frack waste truck to come and dump waste across the street from where they live. So they wait every day. Doesn't come every day, but once it comes and goes, they feel pretty safe going outside. So that's what they did this one day. They went out to the meadow. And before long, they saw the truck heading back in their direction. And Linda's first thought was, I guess he forgot something. But the 6-year-old said, I think he's coming back to dump more waste. And so they started scurrying back to their house to get away from the truck in case he was right. And it turns out he was. Before they could get into their front door, the guy started dumping the waste and splattered them. And what Linda said next is that she looked in the guy's face, and she'll never forget this, she told me. She looked at the guy's face, and he didn't look stricken, he didn't look horrified, he didn't look remorseful in any way. He was smirking. That is what it is to live in the shale fields of Pennsylvania. It's the constant risk of damage, this constant risk of harm, the actual harm that you face, and the insult added to all of that injury. There are, for every one of you here today, take a look around. Look at the number of people here today. For every one of you here today, there's one Linda. Actually, there are dozens of Lindas, if not hundreds of Lindas, who have lost their water, lost their property value, lost their health, lost farm animals, lost pets. There are people who are suffering all of those indignities and then having to deal with insult on top of it. That's what it's about. You have a huge crowd here today, and this is just a representative sampling of what it's like to be in the shale fields in terms of numbers. It's a huge problem. There are 9,200 roughly unconventional wells, in Pennsylvania right now. That's not even a tenth of what they want to put into the ground if they have their way. The highest estimate I've heard is 200,000 wells. And here's the thing that's important to remember. The next Marcellus well is not going into Berks County where I live because we don't sit atop the Marcellus. What's going to happen is that those same communities are going to be hit over and over and over and over again by the next well and the next well and the next well. And at 9,200, I'm telling you, these communities can't take it. So every time you stop a pipeline, you are cutting the industry off at its knees. One less pipeline means that much less justification for the next well and the next well and the next well. And when you do that, you're saving the planet because the natural gas stays in the ground where it's supposed to. And so on behalf of all of those people in the shale fields, on behalf of all the people who watch and are in your corner and cheering for you, believe me, we all appreciate it. What a heck of a year it's been. Looking around today, the thing that I know PennEast did not have in mind is something like this because it just shows you're getting stronger, not weaker. And so for that, and on top of everything else, all the good work that you've done, all the good work you will do, from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of all my friends in Pennsylvania, I say thank you.
Compelling, isn't she? So, we have have another great speaker for us. He is a staunch advocate to protect New Jersey's communities and environment. As most of you who read the newspaper know, he's always ready with a sharp quip when one is needed, and he always has the needed facts and the persuasive arguments to make sure that the politicians are standing on our side of the pipeline against the pipeline, rather on the other side with the industry. And if he doesn't persuade them to come onto our side, he sure as heck shames them to death and makes sure everybody knows about it. Jeff Tittel is the director of the New Jersey Sierra Club, and he is a very important leader in the PennEast Pipeline battle. Jeff?
Everybody here that we're in the middle of one of the most beautiful valleys on one of the most beautiful days with so many beautiful people. Thank you for coming out. You can be down the shore, you can be picnicking with your families, but you understand what the stakes are in this valley. You understand what this is a battle all about. I'm here representing the 65,000 supporters and 20,000 members of the Sierra Club, but more importantly, the 2.5 million members and supporters nationwide, because this is ground zero in the battle against pipelines, in the battle against fracking, and the battle for a clean energy future. Because that's what this is about. It's about our future. We're a state that's been devastated by climate change. We're a state that has seen 22 major floods since Christie's been governor, which either means it's climate change or God doesn't like our governor, or both. We're in a state where we have enough wind power off our coast to meet half our energy needs. We could be carbon free by 2030. The only thing standing in our way is our governor, who has never met a pipeline he hasn't liked. In fact, he pulled us out of the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative because he's afraid it was going to be regulated as our largest source of hot air. But we're here today because we love this valley. This valley not only nurtures us and supports us, it is the place where 15 million people get their drinking water from. It is a place where people come from all over this country to kayak and canoe and antique and listen to music and to fish and swim and enjoy outdoors. This is a place that has been chosen to be on the front line in the battle against pipelines. We didn't choose that battle, they did. But 250 years ago, this valley was under siege. It was the British and their mercenary Hessians. Today, the gas company are the British and the pipeline companies are the mercenary Hessians. They want to come in and take our land, destroy our forests, destroy our water, destroy our economy, so that they can go out and make super profits. The gas companies get the money, Europe gets the gas, and we get the pipe. So we're going to say, no way. No way! No way! No way! We went out and fought for years to save the open spaces in this valley, whether it's Baldpate Mountain or Goat Hill or the DNR Canal. People went out and forced to get those lands saved because a lot of times government was too close to the developers. But that's one of the reasons why they want to come into our valley, because it's cheaper for them to put a pipeline through open space than it is to put it through industrial land. When they put a pipeline up in Ringwood, I just want to give you this quick stat. State of New Jersey in 2007 bought a friend of mine's property for $40,000 an acre next to the Wanacue Reservoir. The pipeline company paid only $4,000 because it's only valued as open space. And that's why they're targeting us, because they want our land. Right. Yeah. Just like the British wanted to put people in our homes and take our land then, and we fought back. It was a citizens' army. It was a citizens' army that stood up for their homes, and stood up for their farms, and stood up to the British. Well, today, we are that citizens' army wanting to protect our valley from the new mercenaries and the gas pipeline companies. And just like we won 250 years ago, we're going to win today. We're not going to let them frack our valley. I say, don't frack the Delaware and don't frack anywhere. fracking moratorium bill, and we're going to get those things overridden, and we're going to fight these pipelines. But one of the things that I found in going to town here is the spirit of the people, that same spirit of revolution, that same spirit of independence, that same spirit of we want to protect our homes. And what we're here today to say to PennEast and to the governor and to the federal government, keep the FERC out of our valley. Thank you.
So if we're going to win and we're going to protect our kids and our communities from PennEast and the pipeline proposals that will be sure to follow if fracking and drilling continues in our nation and continues across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we need effective educators who are going to lead our young people to honestly and earnestly understand the issues, and not just understand the issues, but want to rise up and get involved. And we have that with Dr. Michael Brogan, Professor of Political Science at Rider University.
Thank you. Heads I win, tails you lose. Those are the terms of the deal being presented to you by PennEast. How does this work? Well, the deal authorizes PennEast to seize your land, silence your voice, pollute your environment, put your community at risk, and tell you this is all good for the country. PennEast represents the old model of energy. Natural gas pipelines are an artifact of the good old days, at least for energy companies, that is, when plutocrats were able to stack the deck in their favor in order to manipulate the public interest so they could maximize private profits. In fact, the regulation of natural gas lines are closed, centralized, dominated by interest. Regulators have been captured by the industry, resulting in diminishing public accountability, legitimacy, and confidence in maintaining the public interest. It's clear now that natural gas is not a bridge fuel to the future, but rather an anchor to the past. We can't win the race to renewables by dragging fossil fuels behind us.
That's right!
Based on my research studying the impact of the proposed line on our communities, I have found a model of mobilization for other groups around the nation to utilize. The structure of this movement is polycentric. It's integrated. I found nodes of neighbors, friends, colleagues at the local level, connected with each other through regional and national groups. This segmented, integrated network has resulted in a cooperative framework in which real change and reform can happen. Thanks to these diverse and vibrant networks, PennEast cannot buy us off. There's simply too many of us willing to stand up and take the lead. Good. Listen up, PennEast. We are not NIMBYs. Our opposition does not stem from some type of insular self-interest where if you reroute the line, we're going to go away. No, that's not what brings us together. What brings us together, what unites us is our connection to the collective interests, the values, the individuals of the communities we live in. It is our unwavering commitment to protect the environment for future generations. It is our concern for not placing undue risk on our communities. For example, in Hopewell Township, where I live, the proposed line would put roughly 1 out of 7 residents within the blast zone. Wow. Gambling away our safety for PennEast is unacceptable. It's also how we treasure our natural resources, like the Delaware River, like Baldpate Mountain, like Hickory Run State Park. What brings us together is also the risk of having our property seized from us in the name of public interest. It is the realization of a corrupt alliance between the energy industry and the federal government. It is this never-ending push by the federal government to subsidize cheap energy in order to fuel growth, rather than invest in clean energy for the future. The energy industry has been more than happy to accommodate this need by ensuring the government guarantees paying customers, who bear the burden of the cost of production, transportation, consumption, and of course the risks associated with pipeline incidents. It's also the denial of state and local rights in the deliberation of natural gas pipeline regulation. We come together to create a path to the future. The outcome of the boom in the U.S. is a revolution that allows us to make our choices to ensure a sustainable and prosperous future. The odds are now in our favor. A Thank you. A future that embraces community. The environment. It powers individuals, not corporations. This is the public interest, not the maintenance of the status quo that allows companies like PennEast to conduct legalized theft. This says PennEast worried. Well, faceless PennEast execs hire public relations spin doctors and a convicted felon, yes, Dr. Ross, to justify that natural gas is good for you or that's harmless to the environment. We stand together to say enough is enough. Enough of the federal government legitimizing criminal behavior among big pipeline companies. Enough of PennEast paid spokesmen attempting to silence our voices. Enough of allowing unaccountable energy companies to pollute our environment. Enough is enough. Our voices are being heard around the country. You have set the terms for how we define PennEast, where our energy comes from, and most importantly, what our future energy sources will be. This is our time to stand up, to organize, mobilize for action, to reform the process, and to remind those who work on behalf of the public interest that you work for us, and that we're not going away. You hear us, Berks? Thank you.
We all know that we are all going to be harmed if the PennEast Pipeline project passes through our communities. But those that will be harmed the most, because their bodies are the most vulnerable to environmental degradation, and because they are the ones that are going to miss out on the beauty of our natural river and our natural environments, are our kids. And it is always inspiring and refreshing to see a young person who is brave enough and articulate enough to help lead a fight. And we have that in Kaia Elinich. Kaia has spoken with profound beauty and conviction against the PennEast Pipeline project for her community and for her environment. Kaia is active with Bucks County Concerned Citizens Against the Pipeline and is a co-founder of the Peace Youth Organization. Help me welcome Kaia.
My name is Kaia Elinich, and I'm a resident of Bucks County, Pennsylvania. I'm here today to tell you why I am opposed to the PennEast Pipeline project. I am against the PennEast Pipeline project because there's an 18-inch pipeline on the property I live on. One day, a few years ago, PP&L came to the property and told us they had to cut down a good section of the beautiful trees that grew there for 30 years or more. They told us they had forgotten to check up on the pipeline, and that Homeland Security told PP&L to come cut down our trees. If a pipeline goes through your land, it will never be the same again. One day, they can even come back and use your land again, because you already sold the right of way to them. In fact, our pipeline, which was in the ground before the land was ever bought, used to be oil, but apparently they changed it to gas, and never even told us. PP&L told my mom she shouldn't lose any sleep over it, but they're not the ones who live there. The lady at PP&L told us that they inspect the pipeline according to regulations, but could not give us any more details because her information was outdated. PP&L said they didn't have to notify the property owners because they send out a mailer every year that says somewhere along the line they changed to gas. Those maps don't show who that is. Now I live in the impact zone, and I think about it all the time. Oh, and by the way, the utilities map my mom was given by Bucks County still has the pipeline labeled as oil. So any fireman won't even know what happened if it did explode. Now that's pretty scary. I cannot understand why PennEast thinks that making money from natural gas is more important than our lives. When is PennEast going to recognize all of the negative impacts of their pipeline? I am sure these gas companies think pipelines are good because they make them money. But I know they're a limited liability corporation for a reason. We could be using solar panels and other types of renewable energy. Instead of burying dangerous gas pipelines in the ground. We have a right to a voice, because this is our future. Stop the fracking, stop the pipeline. Thank you.
Talk about speaking truth to power, huh? So let's give Kaia another round. PennEast is not an abstract concept. We all know that. It really is a major threat to our communities. And there are many, many people, many of you here, who have spoken effectively and passionately about the dangers of this pipeline project and why we should all be opposed to it. And there's many of you in the audience who have really helped lead the battle cry against the PennEast Pipeline project. Among the most effective leaders in our community, among all of you, among all of us, in this movement has been Susan Dodd Meacham with Holland Township Concerned Citizens Against the Pipeline.
Yes.
She comes out to every meeting, every opportunity. She speaks firmly, she speaks passionately, she speaks with conviction, and she speaks for all of us. Susan?
As many of you know, I have been fighting the PennEast project since a land agent appeared on my doorstep last August and asked if he could just look around. The answer then was no, and the answer is still no. Because this project was never, ever about New Jersey and Pennsylvania needing natural gas. It was always about PennEast's corporate greed. They want our preserved farmland and our open space so they can cash in on the Marcellus shale boom, sell this gas up and down the East Coast, and export it overseas. They have lied to us from the very beginning, and now they're getting desperate. They're testing first and getting permits later. They are trespassing on people's property to obtain surveys without owner permission. They're asking the DEP to bend the rules just a little bit to allow their FERC application, even though they haven't met all the conditions. They tried shutting the public out of landowner meetings, and their CEOs are now writing letters to newspapers, misleading the public by saying that if we grant survey access, it'll give the homeowners a say in the pipeline route. But we are having our say right here today. And we're saying, PennEast, go home. Our opposition has delayed your FERC application by nearly 5 months because you seriously underestimated the power of community and the power of fact. Legislators in almost every municipality along the route gave us resolutions against this pipeline because they knew there was nothing of value for them or for us. Channel 69 interviewed me earlier and asked if the FERC kind of knows we're here. Oh yeah. We were standing room only at scoping sessions, and we've put nearly 3,500 comments on their docket. Yes, 3,500. It is unprecedented. Earlier this year, former chairwoman of the FERC, Cheryl LaFleur, said, "We have a situation here." You're damned right it's a situation. We're tired of a system that lets PennEast claim its own member companies as its customers. We're tired of FERC putting the gas companies' need and convenience ahead of our health, our property rights, and our safety. We're tired of the corporate incest that lets FERC appoint companies like Tetra Tech to do this project's environmental study. Tetra Tech is a member of the Marcellus Shale Coalition. They own a pipeline installation company, and they brag that they work closely with FERC. PennEast pays for this environmental study, so you know perfectly well it'll put the gas company interest ahead of our environment and our safety. And PennEast doesn't like to talk about safety, and here's why. They named UGI as their project manager. UGI was responsible for that horrible gas pipeline explosion in Allentown in 2011 that killed 5 people and destroyed 8 homes. 30 years before that explosion, UGI had a work order that recommended that same pipe for replacement because it had been installed in 1928. But UGI never made that safety replacement, and those 5 people had to die because of it. In January 2013, PUC Chairman Robert Powelson and Vice Chair John Coleman were quoted as saying, quote, "We want to emphasize that UGI's compliance history related to gas safety issues is patently unacceptable." Yeah, there are project managers, great. PennEast has $1 billion budget for this unnecessary project, so they have to be expecting a huge return on their money. That won't come from providing cheaper gas service to a few 100,000 residential customers in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. That's why they added Spectra Energy out of Texas to this project, and that is why a recent publication said PennEast added New York and, quote, surrounding states as recipients of this gas. They're setting it up, folks. Those of you new to this unnecessary project, please stand with us. And those of you that are fighting, thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody, deny or rescind survey permissions so PennEast can't complete their FERC application, because without that, they won't have the legal standing to bring eminent domain actions against landowners. Spread the word and help us tell PennEast to go home and leave us alone.
So we hope that you're all going to stay with us a little while longer today and share in the wonderful energy and spirit that we have created with this march and with all of us coming together with these powerful speakers and with the powerful words I have heard from all of you as you have talked with one another. There are many actions in the coming hours that you could take while you're here at this park. You could go to the pavilion and you could sign a letter to the Delaware River Basin Commission, which has the power to stop the PennEast Pipeline project, and tell them at least you want a fair set of hearings out of the DRBC. You could have your photo taken as part of our ongoing messaging campaign to show the incredible diversity of the opposition against PennEast. You could visit our traveling PennEast Opposition Roadshow to learn more about the project, what's going on, and how you can get involved in the months to come. You can sign the pledge of solidarity to stand with us against PennEast. You can go to the art table where you can share your concerns and share your ideas while the kids get creative and inspire us all. You can get inspired by the graffiti artists Jake Stein and Trevor Nicholson, who have dedicated their time today to share their talent, to help inspire us with the beautiful art that the river always brings out in all of us. If you need water, we have a water station. And of course, our friends from the Lenape Nation will be holding a drug circle and a closing ceremony in a little while to help us celebrate our river and our unity. I have to acknowledge there are many, many people, and I can't list them and I won't try, but there are many people who made today a success. And I hope that we will all take a moment in our hearts to thank them and to honor them for their hard work. But really, chief amongst the folks that made today a success is all of you. All of you, because you showed up to help us deliver our message. You showed up to help us deliver the message that we don't want dirty fossil fuels or the dirty pipelines, dirty profits, and dirty politics that come along with them. You showed up to help us send the message that we will do what we have to stop the PennEast Pipeline project. And I have to tell you, people ask me this all the time because we're involved in so many pipeline battles at the Delaware River Keeper Network. But I really want you to know from my heart, I really believe we can win. We can stop PennEast. And you need to know, in that victory, in that win, we are going to be setting an example of success and sending a message of inspiration that is going to reverberate across the nation to all the communities that are fighting pipeline battles across this nation. So it's about all of us here today, all of the generations to come, and everybody across this nation that needs your inspiration of a big win, because we're going to get it against PennEast. Thank you all.